Absolutely. I think the university here, not just to kind of churn students through and provide them with a degree, but I think we should be in a position to help you to find industry-related jobs, and for us to use our contacts out there in the industry to help kind of fuel students gaining those jobs. We want our students to be more successful in that process than other universities, absolutely. We've got two processes that are involved at the moment. We use JobBook, which is the means by which we advertise the placements and paid activities to our students. The posts that go on there tend to be produced by staff, and this again, it's down to us using our contacts to find out what's out there in the industry that's available to students. We post them and the students then apply. We're currently also managing a media industry outreach project, which is due to go live probably later in this semester and certainly over into the next academic year. And what we're doing there at the moment is we're building a database of all the placement providers that our students have been to over the last 5 years, so that we can make that list available to students so they know where those friendly places are to gain work placement experience. But on the other side of that, we've also developed a number of internships through that kind of contact database, and industry contacting us as well, that they've kind of identified an area that they might like to get students in. One of the ways we see this is working, and that's been flagged up by placement providers, is what they would like to do is use the internship programme as a means of kind of testing out fresh raw talent, finding out who those kind of successful candidates might be, so that they automatically get first pick of the good students when they're out there. So it's kind of like a trial proving ground really, and for the students that kind of puts them in a position where they know that if they work hard and prove their mettle, that actually there might be a job available for it at the end of them. But if they don't get a job out of it, what they do get is a valuable work experience that's going to kind of automatically put their employability set much higher than a student who hasn't taken the placement or the internship. So they're the two programmes we've got available at the moment, the JobBook, which is just purely for the School of Media, and also the Media Industry Outreach Project, which again is just purely for School of Media students. This is something that staff and students are doing together. I think for the creative industries, work placement is absolutely essential. Without getting the work placement, you're not honing your skills and finely tuning them to the industry demands. But at the same time, you could argue that it's exploitation, it's just free labour for the industry. Personally, my personal view is that work placement is essential. That's where you kind of get to use your craft and put it into a real work environment. Without having that kind of an opportunity, I don't think, for our students going out to interview, I don't think you're kind of well prepared enough. So I think the more placement activity you can get, the better. I had an interesting conversation this morning. We came to the conclusion that work placement is fair when a student's still within the university environment. When they leave university and they're no longer a student, we think that maybe work placement should be looked at differently through a process of internship, whereby there might be some kind of pay or stipend attached to it, and it shouldn't be just free labour. We like to think that we kind of keep strong links with our students once they leave. You'll have continued access to your email account, through which we'll continue to send job opportunities and also internship opportunities. JobBook will still be available to you. You'll be able to use that when you leave as a student, so that's still available as a source of I suppose, not placement but internship activity, because once you graduate you don't want to be doing placement anymore, you're looking at more long-term internships. And also the Media Industry Outreach Project, that's going to be made available to our students and our graduates, and what we'd like to be able to do is, through the connections that we make within the industry, to recommend graduates to them that we think might be interested in posts with them. So we want to kind of try and use our, I suppose, milk our networks to make sure that our students get the jobs that they're looking for. The research that's done tends to ask whether students have been or in full-time employment when they leave after the 6 months. I don't think that's really a fair criteria, because I think that students, your career is developing and building all of the time. And what tends to happen is students leave and they get a job just to pay the bills in that first interim period. And I think actually probably a fairer assessment would be to see what students are doing a year down the line. Cause
6 months isn't a very long time.
6 months is not very long, is it? That's the expectation there, is almost that you've got a job to walk into when you leave university. And I think the reality is that students won't have the job of their dreams when they leave university, but maybe in a year, 2 years down the line, you would hope that they're kind of aiming to work towards their preferred career destination. It's a tough one, this, and I've given this one a bit of thought, because my own personal view, coming from a working class background, as the first student who ever went to university in the family, is that actually education should be available to all. And if you're going to put exclusion kind of barriers on who can actually take those student loans, then that puts you in a difficult situation with who actually, the selection process and who gets to go to university, because it'll put you into a position where the people who go to university are the people who can afford. So although there's a fear about the students never paying those loans back, I think actually you need to give the opportunity to all students to benefit from the education system. If you're talking about the kind of degree pathways that are available for student loans, I think all degree pathways should have access to student loans, but I think there needs to be some kind of criteria for assessment for something that you maybe will end up without a degree at the end of the period of study, because I think that's a different kind of category of style. The reason it gets labelled with a degree is because you've worked to a particular standard of ability that I think then will make you more employable in the future. So I think for maybe those pathways of studies that aren't degree related or aren't going to lead to joining a degree, say for example with foundation degrees and so on, then I think that needs to be considered actually whether or not they'd be put through the student loans system. But that's not my decision. I think that's a debate for elsewhere, but that's my own personal view on the matter. Not for me, because for me I thought of it as an investment. I thought, if I take these loans out, I'm going to have to pay them back. I knew that what the payback threshold was going to be, and I viewed it with the eyes that actually if I never reach that payback threshold, then I'm not going to be paying my student loan back. So I took it with the kind of view that it's an investment. I'm hoping that this is going to pay off and I end up getting to do the job that I want to do for the rest of my life, which I'm sitting here and it's paid off for me. And I'm still paying my student loan back. So I think, yeah, it felt like a fair and right option for me that actually I would take the loan and see to it that I get a good education and be able to do what I want to do for the rest of my life.